How are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? How are you? Oh, me? I'm doing excellent. Excellent today. Thanks for asking. I'm so excited that it is finally fall. 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 Again. Fall. Again. As you've heard me complaining about summer a lot. But it's finally time for me to feel alive again. And I've been waiting to do this video since this time last year. I'm back with another cozy description video of a cozy fall scene. Fall scene. And I'm all dressed up for fall. I've got my new nails, my little maple necklace, and my pumpkin pillow covers in the back, and a cozy sweater. I'm ready to go, and I hope that you're feeling cozy too. I started making these description videos this time last year. Fall was the first one that I tried, and it was just a little experiment. And I ended up really liking to make these, so I hope that you enjoy today's description. I'm gonna do gentle mic scratching just like this throughout, just to do something with my hands. Give a little bit of background noise while I'm chatting to you and describing it. Last year, the scene was kind of a cozy outdoor cafe sort of scene. And this year, I also chose something outdoors, but with a bit more of a realistic vibe. And it is in portrait orientation, but you can envision any other gaps in this image, however you'd like. It's totally up to your imagination. I'm gonna jump right into the description, so you can close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes if you'd like. If you'd like. Just listen to the way I describe this fall scene. So we're outside again. It looks like it's either very early morning or very late afternoon, but it's difficult to tell because it's really foggy outside, kinda spooky, but comforting in a way with the fog. We're sitting under under a large tree in what appears to be the front yard of an estate of some kind. The building in the background doesn't look huge, but from where it gets a little bit cut off by the frame, it looks like it could be much larger than what we can see at the moment. But we're sitting at a cold black iron table under this tree in the front yard of a small estate. And the iron table in front of us takes up about a third of the lower part of the frame at the moment. Can't see the chair that we're sitting in, but because the table is at the level that we'd be sitting at, I assume we're sitting down, resting at this black iron table. It is circular and, like I said, takes up most of the lower frame. And it is the closest large object to us. And there's several different objects resting on this table that I'll describe to you first, and then we'll move backwards to the distance up the frame in terms of perspective. To your left, the leftmost part of the round iron table, there's a stack of books, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books stacked on top of each other, but they appear to be larger than novels. Look like they could be writing notebooks and maybe a couple of textbooks. They look slightly aged but not tattered. Dark beige pages and darker brown or black covers bound around them. The 2 or 3 books on the bottom of the stack are thinner. The 4th one is much thicker and a little bit less wide than the others below it. And the 2 on top of that are a bit thinner, the same size as each other, and seem to be bound with black or brown leather. A small object is resting on top of the stack, but it's not clear what it is. It's just rectangular, dark, and stacked neatly on top of the other books. In the exact middle of the table, we see a little simple coffee mug with a saucer. Looks like there's potentially frothy milk at the top, but given the reflection of the sort of murky daylight, it does look like it's just reflective, so it could be tea rather than a latte. And it is a dark brown mug with a dark brown saucer, appropriately sized just underneath it. Another mug rests diagonally from the center one, press diagonally a bit to the right and backwards further away on the tabletop. And this one is exactly the same size and shape of mug and saucer, but it is a slightly lighter brown color. Slightly lighter brown. Slightly in front of the lighter mug, slightly in front and slightly to the right, so the object that is on the furthest to the right of the table, we have a little dish similar size to the saucers under the mugs with a glass sort of guard resting vertically up from the dish that is containing a simple lit candle. Simple candle. It's not too tall. It is like a pillar shape, but it's not too tall. And has a light glowing flame. And the sort of glass cylinder that surrounds it is taller than the candle and seems to sort of curve upwards and outwards a little bit as you get to the top of it, this glass cylinder around the candle. Further back and slightly to the left of the darker brown mug in the center, but slightly right of the stack of books on the left-hand side, we have one tall glass of water in a clear glass, also slightly larger at the top, and behind it is what looks like quite a tall glass pitcher that is filled with wax at the bottom, up to maybe over a third of the way full of this pitcher. It's like a tall, skinny pitcher that's a little bit wider at the base and is filled with candle wax, and we can see a lit wick inside the pitcher. It's just tall glass with a handle just on the right hand side, simple curved handle. And on the left at the very top there's a slightly sharper point for the spout of the pitcher. A few golden brown and orange leaves are sprinkled on the tabletop of this iron outdoor table. Just sprinkled along the top, not too many, but as you look down below the table, which we can only see the very top of the sort of stem of the table with some intricate curly iron designs connecting the underneath part of the tabletop to the stem, just curling and circling towards the center there. We can't see much more than a few inches right underneath the table, and as our eyes look down, we see that the floor or the grass is covered with crisp, crunchy, fallen leaves. Crisp, crunchy, fallen leaves. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Have completely covered the yard underneath the table. And I mentioned a large tree at the beginning, which just in the left-hand side of our vision, whereas the house is more in the center right of the frame, but we see the tree on the left, maybe 5 or 6 feet away from this table in the distance, and all the leaves are scattered underneath the table all the way up to the base of the tree. And they look so crisp and crunchy, but the fog in this image gives it a really moody look with the fallen leaves. And just sort of intersecting the whole image, slightly below the middle, we have just the faint view of a pathway just behind the tree, but several feet in front of the house entrance. Just stretching across this image so we kind of see the hint of a sidewalk or pathway, though it is also quite covered in fallen leaves. We've got the suggestion of a small bush or hedge on the right of this image, and then beyond that in the distance we can see the entrance of the house, which is ivory aged color with a little staircase, low staircase with low steps leading up to the front entrance, which has 2 columns, one on either side, and a triangle-shaped sort of cover above the columns leading through the door. And that's right in the middle of this building. It's not quite a 3/4 angle. The perspective is a bit more of the front of the house rather than the side. Not quite 3/4, but leaning more towards us. As we see windows on either side of the entranceway with the columns, windows built right into the front of the house. They're about as tall as the door seems, but they're not gigantic. Just one thin, tall window on either side that look to be sectioned with grid-like sort of framing inside the window that appear to be a very, very, very pale shade of teal. And we can see that there are some lights on inside the house, but absolutely nothing else of detail. It's very dark in there otherwise. And then on the upper floor, because we appear to have a 2-story home, potentially with a basement and maybe access to the roof. But on the second floor we have 3 windows. The 2 on either side are aligned with the 2 windows on the floor below. And the 3rd window is aligned in the center with the door at the front of the building. We can see a little bit more of the house extended to the left. The wall is a bit further back than the wall of the front part of the house. We can see matching windows, one on the bottom, and one on the top level of that side of the house. there's a suggestion that there's an even side on the other side of this building, but we can't see it in frame. If there's a matching side. And as you look up to the roof, there appears to be a concrete, very low barricade running around the perimeter of the roof. It looks like one of those concrete fencing that sort of has thick posts throughout that are smaller at the top and wider at the bottom. Just looks very regal without being ornate. It's still very simple. There is a tree in the right hand front corner, just in front of the house there, that has bright orange leaves, but is losing them quickly as the branches look really sparse. To the left of the staircase that leads up to the doorway, there's a, not perfectly manicured but still tidy hedge, just sort of reaching around to the left side of the house. Can't make out too much detail, it's just there framing the house a little bit. And beyond the hedge and beyond the house, it just looks like there's a sparse, foggy forest beyond. The sky is whitish gray, so we can't tell if it's really early or really late in the afternoon. If I had to guess, I would say early morning, with not a lot of sun behind the clouds. And then the last detail to give is that just hanging above our vision a little bit, blocking a bit of the top of the house from our view, we have the branches of the large tree that rests in front of us on our left. You can see its branches lowering in front of us, also with sparse leaves that many have fallen already. Also beyond that pathway that's kind of in the middle of frame, there's a very lush green lawn that seems to stretch all around the building and beyond. There's just suggestions of branches further in the distance leading to that forest. And even though it looks a little bit gloomy and dreary outside, it definitely feels like a peaceful place to drink a coffee, read or write in a book, breathe in the crisp, fresh, dewy, woody air, and just relax there with some candlelight. I would definitely hang out here. It seems incredibly cozy. I hope you enjoy it. this imagination practice. And if you closed your eyes and just let this help you drift off to sleep, that's great too. That's great too. I hope everybody had an incredible fall equinox, which I have been waiting for so long, and I'm so happy that it's here again. I hope you get some great rest later if you're not yet asleep. And I'll see you in the next one with another one of these in the winter. But I hope you enjoyed this year's cozy fall scene. Cozy